Hi guys, this is a video about changing into reverse gear. Reverse gear can be in lots of different places in different cars that you drive. So if you're going from your parents' car or your friend's car or even your own car to your driving instructor's car, reverse gear may be in a completely different place. So I'm going to talk about this in this video, and I'm also going to talk about how reverse gear can sometimes crunch when you go into it, and I'm going to be talking all about that. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is the gear stick and I've got 6 forward gears on this car, and my reverse gear is on the left and it's in the top corner of the left side of the gear stick. Now I can't go into reverse gear by mistake. If I was to push to the left, with all my might pushing to the left there, I'm only hitting the wall of 1 and 2. That's where it's ending there, pushing to the left and hitting 1 and 2. So if I want to go to reverse, I'm going to have to actually push the entire system down so I enter a secret room to be able to get to reverse gear. So I need to do this. I need to push it down. See that? So it actually pushes down like a button, and then I can push it over and up into the top corner. Yeah, so that's how to get into reverse. It's impossible to do it by mistake, because if you push to the left there, that's only 1 and 2. Now neutral, which means you're not in any gear at all and it's at its resting point, is below 3 and above 4. So if there was a big N there, that would be quite useful, because that just means neutral. So if I push to the left from neutral, there, that's hitting 1 and 2. And then if I press to the right, that's hitting 5 to 6 on that wall there. And if I let go of it, the powerful springs always take it back to neutral, which is below 3 and above 4. So reverse gear, depending on which car you've bought, whether it's a Mini or whether it's a Ford or whether it's an Audi, reverse gear may be in a completely different place. It may be in the bottom corner on the right side. So do look at the picture and make sure that you locate where reverse is. Now in this car, I've already shown you, but it's a push down technique. I have to push it down to get into it. But in the last car that I had, there was a little bit where I needed to actually bring the system up like this. I had to bring the system upwards, and then that opened the secret gate, and then I could go up into reverse. And I called that the syringe technique, because it feels like a syringe like that. So the syringe technique might have to be used for some cars. In a Mini, if you drive a Mini, you'd have to push to the left, and then you'd have to put a real effort in and push even further. And with that extra push, then that extra push would then take you to a secret compartment where you can go up into reverse gear. So there's loads of different ways that you can go into reverse gear. So that's the first thing. Notice how to go into reverse, because if you're borrowing someone's car or if you're driving somebody else's car, sometimes it's like, how do I get into reverse? Like what technique is it? So that is definitely something to think about as well. Okay guys, so basically we know where reverse gear is now in different cars, and it's got a different technique to go into. But the other thing to mention is that sometimes going into reverse gear, the actual process of going into reverse gear can be a bit of a nightmare, because sometimes it grinds as well. It makes a horrible grinding noise because we've been in the forward gears and then we're changing it to reverse gear, and it can grind. So I always try and soften the mood by saying, if you can't find it, grind it. But really we need to try and be careful. Now over the years, I've had so many different cars. I mean, I can't even tell you how many cars I've had. When I used to work at BSM, I had a car every 6 months, and I've been a driving instructor for 21 years. So I've had an extortionate amount of cars, and every single car that I've ever taken a learner out in, reverse gear can grind. So it's not you, don't worry, it's the car. So I'm sure that if you've had some driving lessons and you put it into reverse gear, you may have been witness to the fact that sometimes it grinds. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. Now over the years, when I've gone into reverse gear, or when my students have gone into reverse gear, I just tell them to be a little bit more careful. Don't force it in, just take your time with it, and if you can feel resistance, just try again. So there's different ways that you can cope with it. Some of the advice online says that it's better for you to be in a forward gear and then just go straight to reverse. So that's one of the ways that you can deal with it. I also find that if you put it into reverse and you can feel that it's not being quite nice to you, then I would say to my student, okay, just take it out, put it back into neutral, and make sure that the gear shift is actually in neutral itself. Then take your foot completely off the clutch and then put your clutch back down again, and then try the process again. There's also talk about if you take it out of reverse gear and then keep your clutch down for at least 10 seconds and then try again, that can also be another way to lessen the chance of it grinding. So take it easy. Try not to ram it in. The gear stick is designed to change gear, so you don't need, for any forward gear, you don't need to like press it really hard. That's what its job is, to go into gear. So you can be quite gentle with it. The palming technique, when your palm is to the left for gears 1 and 2, and then your hand is quite neutral, like for 3 and 4, and then 4, 5 and 6 your palm will be to the right. And when you're doing those gear changes with that palming technique, you can be gentle with it. You don't have to rush those things. And going into reverse gear, just take your time. If you can feel that there's resistance on it, just be delicate with it. We want everything on the car to last as long as possible. When you buy a light bulb, one day it's going to break because it's a light bulb. With your car, unfortunately, pretty much everything on this car has got a lifespan. So we want to treat it with respect, and we want to try and make each part of the car last as long as physically possible, especially the clutch and especially the gearbox, right? Because those are extremely expensive items. So we don't want to be like forcing them to do things too hard. We want to like look after these things, yeah? So reverse gear, unfortunately, has got a bit of a diva kind of aspect to it. It could grind. So make sure that you take your time with it, follow your instructor's point of view on this and listen to what their advice is. But yeah, like I say, being in a forward gear and then going to reverse is the advice that you can do. Sometimes that works for my students, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes putting it into reverse gear and then you can feel that resistance. So into neutral, take your foot off, put the clutch back down, try again. I've found over the many years of being at work that's quite nice. That kind of works as well. All right, guys, so don't worry if it grinds. Yeah, like it's not you specifically, but we can do these things to try and look after our changing of gears and make everything last as long as possible. All right, guys, so I hope all of that information about going into reverse gear and using the other gears has been helpful for you. And good luck with your driving and good luck with your driving tests. I'll speak to you soon.